Great Demon King. Chapter 46. Little Skeleton Acts Violently. When Han Shuo moved behind the fatty, he discovered that, out of the 10 or so mercenaries defending the fatty, the strongest were 2 mid-ranked warriors, followed by 6 novice warriors and a few other warrior apprentices. All of them were covered with wounds, and the 2 strongest mid-ranked warriors were injured so heavily that they had almost lost the ability to fight. The situation now is quite apparent that you have lost the ability to fight and cannot offer me effective protection. I paid half of the gold to your mercenary band earlier, but because you were unable to escort me back to the Empire, I will not be paying the second half, Fabian said with a face full of resignation. He then pasted a warm, slight smile on his face, bowed slightly, and addressed Han Shuo. Mighty warrior, please take me away from here, and I will pay you 200 gold. All right, give me 100 gold first, and I'll start immediately. Han Shuo responded with ease, also offering a slight smile. At this moment, upon seeing that Han Shuo did not seem to be leaving, the forest troll leader finally screamed with violent rage. Devious and evil humans, kill them all. When the leader's words echoed through the area, the troll warriors, hunters, and priests that had been standing blankly in their places called out in the weird language of the forest trolls and rushed over in large strides. All right, this is 100 golds. When you safely take me away from here, I'll give you the other 100 gold. Damn it, they're coming for us. Make your move. Fabian hastily took out a money bag and poured out 100 gold coins for Han Shuo when he saw that the forest trolls were rushing over with ugly expressions and wielding weapons. Having received the 100 gold coins, Han Shuo suddenly smiled at Fabian. Before Fabian had a chance to react, Han Shuo swung Fabian onto his back and ripped out a few tattered pieces of gauze from an open pocket. He firmly tied Fabian onto his back without further ado. Let's go. I'll get you safely away from here. You must hold on tight. If you fall off halfway, you only have yourself to blame. Han Shuo hurriedly instructed as he threw away the battle axe in his hand, grabbed a new long spear from beside him, and abruptly dashed towards the perimeter. 7 troll warriors had long since blocked the way, with a few other hunters and priests behind them. They had already thrown out their long spears and javelins with whooshing sounds when they saw that Han Shuo was rushing towards them. Even with a fatty on his back, Han Shuo navigated the rough and windy paths with ease. He agilely changed direction and easily evaded several long spears and javelins. When Han Shuo reached the side of the 7 troll warriors, the long-awaited troll warriors rushed towards him, carrying their battle axes. He clenched the long spear in his hand tightly as he rapidly closed the distance, and the spear stabbed towards the chest of the first troll. A blood-red flower suddenly blossomed on the troll's chest, and the warrior fell directly backward after shuddering. At this moment, the troll priest towards the back started singing healing and fire of the soul magics. A few beams of green light descended onto the troll warriors. The troll warrior who had fallen shakily got back to his feet. When the other troll warriors were enveloped by the magic of the fire of the soul, it was as if a layer of metallic skin had been applied to their already tough green skin. Their skin shone with a metallic gleam, followed by simultaneous increases in speed and strength. They rushed at the 2 remaining fighters with loud wails. Hurry, hurry, and get me out of here. Fabian was frightened out of his wits and started screaming in a panic on Han Shuo's back. His expression unchanged. Han Shuo ignored Fabian's calls and yells. He abruptly threw out the spear in his hand and impaled the troll warrior that had just unsteadily clambered to its feet through the neck, nailing it to the floor. He then pulled out the spears and javelins stuck in the ground and threw them one by one towards the priests hiding at the back. One of the priests didn't dodge in time and was immediately pierced to death. Another 2 troll hunters also died due to being impaled from the front. At this moment, Han Shuo randomly pulled out a long spear and started to directly confront the troll warrior in front of him. Having had the fire of the soul cast on them, all of the troll warriors' bodily functions had increased significantly. However, Han Shuo's current condition had yielded some small achievements in practicing magic, and the toughness and flexibility of his body still far outstripped theirs. He maneuvered the long spear and flicked out the battle axes one by one. Throughout this process, when the battle axes had been sent flying from the troll warrior's hands, they would pull out a javelin or long spear from the ground at the same time, thoroughly blocking the way and entangling Han Shuo. He was up against 6 with a fatty on his back. Even though he dodged with high speed, he still wasn't able to fully avoid all the injuries. Whenever danger approached him, Han Shuo would very evilly use Fabian on his back as a shield, using the latter's fat, stocky body to decrease the damage inflicted on his own body. Damn it, you can't do this. Otherwise, don't even expect to receive the 100 gold coins after. Fabian's butt had been poked by a long spear, and his back had been bloodied by a few javelins. He wailed in continuous complaints on Han Shuo's back. Unfortunately, Han Shuo completely ignored all of Fabian's complaints. He conveniently pulled a long spear embedded in the chest of a troll warrior, and the resulting spray of flesh blood fully splattered all over Han Shuo. Han Shuo's expression had been cold and vicious to begin with, and he looked even more like the reincarnation of a bloodthirsty god, with all the blood over him. This momentarily shocked Fabian senseless, and he didn't dare speak further nonsense, merely whimpered and cried on Han Shuo's back, "Kill him! Kill him! Rush him together!" The forest troll leader suddenly exploded into an irate roar upon seeing that Han Shuo had killed quite a few forest trolls. He even pulled out a battle axe from behind him and rushed over. Currently, although Han Shuo wasn't particularly breaking a sweat facing off against 5 trolls, it was still exceedingly difficult for him to break through. When the troll leader had finished speaking, even more forest troll warriors rushed over. Han Shuo dodged the crushing blow from a battle axe and backed up a few steps. "Souls of the fallen soldiers, heed the Dark Herald's call and reveal your existence." Han Shuo spread out his hands and suddenly chanted the spell used for a necromancy summon. "Oh my gosh, you're also a mage." Fabian had been sobbing in a low voice when he was momentarily shocked by Han Shuo starting an incantation. He looked blankly at Han Shuo with an odd expression and called out weirdly. The forest troll leader off in the distance was startled, and then increased its speed, screaming loudly, "Kill him! Hurry up! And kill him!" A small skeleton that wielded a bone dagger suddenly materialized in front of Han Shuo. Its small, thin body stood there in solitude, as its empty eye sockets patrolled the area, appearing a bit at a loss. "Oh, come on. Just one little skeleton, and such a thin, small one. What use is it?" Fabian started wailing with surprise when he saw that Han Shuo had summoned just one skeleton. So it was just one skeleton. That scared me. Kill them all. Upon seeing that it was just one skeleton after being shocked, the forest troll leader immediately jeered loudly and directed the troll warriors to quickly approach. Han Shuo's 2 eyes were cold as a trace of a mocking smile also made its way to his lips. When the forest troll leader had spoken, he immediately gave the order for the little skeleton to attack. When the little skeleton received the command to attack, its small leg bones bent down and then extended, suddenly flying out like a sharp sword. The bone dagger in its hand drew a line of black light through the empty air as it flew out first. The first troll warrior, rushing up, was directly pierced through its forehead like cutting paper and fell straight backward. The little bone dagger didn't stop after running through the head of the first troll warrior. It whistled through the air according to the little skeleton's motions, just like a ghost out for blood. Ear-deafening whistling sounds accompanied secretive and unpredictable curves as it ran through 2 more troll warriors with another stroke. When the little skeleton drew close to the troll warriors, the dagger automatically returned back into the little skeleton's hands. The mere loosening of the bone dagger had instantaneously taken the lives of 3 troll warriors. The previously exceedingly disappointed Fabian and the loudly jeering troll leader were both dumbfounded after the little skeleton's single strike. They stared closely with faces of incredulity at the little skeleton. It was like a tiger that had entered a flock of sheep. The little bone dagger grasped tightly in its hand began to nimbly reap the lives of the troll warriors. Oh my goodness, am I seeing things? Is that really only just one skeletal warrior? Fabian had finally recollected his wits and began to shout excitedly. If it wasn't for the gauze that had completely wrapped around him, he might have even fallen off and landed on the ground in his excitement. "Don't get close to him. Everyone stay away from the skeleton and use long spears, javelins, and battle axes to kill that skeleton." After the troll leader had recovered from its shock, it issued loud commands with a look of fear. Its originally advancing body stopped in its tracks as it began to back up in cowardice. The troll warriors that had been close to the little skeleton had all retreated. As they left, long spears, javelins, and even the troll warriors' battle axes filled the air and descended upon the little skeleton. Han Shuo was startled. As strong as the little skeleton was, it would most likely be hit under such a strong barrage of attacks. But he didn't have time to react properly. Han Shuo grew anxious and started truly worrying for the little skeleton. Except, the little skeleton's succeeding fancy, incredible performance completely upended Han Shuo's understanding and knowledge of it. The skeleton moved with an almost supernatural agility, deflecting and countering the incoming attacks with ease. Each strike from the skeleton was precise and deadly, turning the tide of the battle in Han Shuo's favor. Realizing that conventional attacks were ineffective against the little skeleton, Han Shuo decided to adapt his strategy. He drew upon his necromantic knowledge, channeling dark energies through his spear. His movements became more fluid, his attacks more calculated, aiming not just to strike but to disrupt the magical essence animating the skeleton. The battlefield shifted as the little skeleton continued its assault, now facing a more formidable opponent. Han Shuo's mastery of necromancy allowed him to predict the skeleton's movements, countering each strike with practiced precision. The troll leader, witnessing this unexpected turn of events, began to retreat, signaling his warriors to fall back. As the remaining troll warriors hesitated, unsure of how to handle Han Shuo's enhanced combat prowess, the little skeleton made one final, decisive strike. Channeling all its energy, it aimed a powerful blow at Han Shuo. But he was ready. With a swift motion, he deflected the attack and directed a surge of dark magic into the skeleton, causing it to disintegrate into a pile of bones and dust. Silence fell over the battlefield as the last remnants of the little skeleton vanished. The troll leader, seeing his warriors defeated and his own position untenable, finally ordered a full retreat. The forest trolls fled into the shadows, leaving the mercenaries and Han Shuo standing amidst the aftermath of the fierce confrontation. Breathing heavily, Han Shuo looked down at Fabian, who was still strapped to his back, a mix of fear and awe in his eyes. "He seems to be dead," Han Shuo asked, his voice steady despite the intensity of the battle. Against his expectations, the students, as well as Fanny and Jean, all screamed and took 2 steps backward when Han Shuo turned his head. Lisa exclaimed in fright and then asked, Brian, are you all right?" Han Shuo started and quickly recollected himself. He scratched his head and smiled dumbly. "What happened to me just now? Even I don't know what I did. Why did this monster suddenly die?" You've forgotten everything you've just done." Fanny was also dumbfounded and then frowned as she stared at Han Shuo in interrogation. Han Shuo nodded truthfully and explained sincerely, "Yes, I felt that my brain started to hurt a lot just now and then. Forgot everything that happened afterwards. The man-eating monster had already died in front of me when I came to. What's going on? Hey, weren't there 2 more monsters? Where did they go? You scared them off." Bella stared at Han Shuo oddly and replied, No way. How can this be? Why would they be afraid of me?" Han Shuo asked, perplexed and with a face full of innocence. "Brian, you become so scary after you lose your mind like you're someone else. Even we were a bit afraid. Not to mention the man-eating monsters. Good thing you're all right now." Jean spoke heartfeltly, voicing everyone's thoughts. "Don't just stand there. Hurry and pack everything. We can no longer stay here. 2 of the monsters got away. They may come back and create more trouble for us." Fanny kept her cool and hurriedly directed everyone to clean up the aftermath upon seeing that the crisis had been temporarily averted. Everyone returned to their original places after Fanny's orders and picked up the resources strewn all over the ground. The students had become more mature after this life-and-death experience. No one wasted time in idle chatter. They picked up and packed all the items with great speed. "I think it's time to leave and end this outing," Jean proposed gravely after seeing that everyone had appropriately repacked their belongings. Everyone had recognized that their strength wasn't as strong as they thought after meeting the man-eating monsters. There would be more dangers as they traveled south, and thus everyone nodded in embarrassed agreement after Jean made his suggestion. Momentarily speechless, the crew started organizing their things. They planned to bring back this time's pickings to the academy and not continue adventuring south. But just as everyone was prepared to leave, a desolate cry suddenly came from the south. The crew had packed and were about to leave, but were all gobsmacked after hearing this sound. Expressions of greed surfaced shortly afterwards, their eyes widening with a mix of curiosity and apprehension as they tried to discern the source of the cry amidst the dense darkness of the dark forest.